There is certainly some buzz in the science world these days. That's all thanks to a newly discovered phenomenon called space hurricanes. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Did he just say space hurricanes? I did, and it's actually a newly discovered phenomenon that really just came out a short while ago from a study that was recently concluded. And that study found that this event actually occurred over 6 years ago. So what does that mean? Well, we talked to some experts about this to get a better idea of what it means, plus what its impacts are to us here on Earth, and if there are any potential long-term impacts as well. A recent study concluded the first ever space hurricane that was seen over 6 years ago. The electron-filled storm lasted for 8 hours and was located in the ionosphere while hovering above the North Pole. 12 News talked with Brown University physics professor Dell'Antonio about whether this is something that is visible from different locations.
Because this is fairly localized to the very high latitudes, you would have to be very close to the magnetic pole to see it. So unlike the solar storms, which tend to make a ring, and the stronger solar storm it is, the further south you can see it, this seemed to be very closely located to the pole.
Some of the similar impacts reflect those of solar storms, so we asked what some of the impacts would be.
That said, there are potential consequences for satellites that happen to be going through the ionosphere at that time. And so that's one thing. I think that's the one place where there could be a human impact.
One of the biggest questions is, are there any long-term impacts to Earth that can be expected?
There is energy being transferred down from space into the upper atmosphere because of this, but it's not nearly as much as the sunlight, for example, transfers. So it's not changing the energy budget of the Earth drastically. That said, again, if the magnetic field of the Earth changes, and there's some evidence that the Earth's magnetic field does change over long timescales, presumably these things could become more or less frequent. And as more and more satellites are launched, this could become more of an issue.
Overall, this new discovery won't have an immediate impact on life from human aspect, but potentially as space technology advances, it could pose a problem down the road. I'm meteorologist Steven Matregrano.